Welcome to Loch Lomond Recreation Area. My name is Judy Cole. This is Brian Watson. We are both rangers for the City of Santa Cruz Water Department, and we're here to protect and maintain the reservoir and the watershed surrounding it. We are also here to ensure the safety and the enjoyment of the visitors who come to the park.
Today we'll be taking you on a virtual tour on our Newell Jewell pontoon boat. We'll be seeing the sights and sounds of Loch Lomond Reservoir and just kind of talking about more of what we do up here. So come on aboard.
This entire area was once a forested canyon with a small creek running through it. Long ago, the land was used as a hunting and gathering ground for the Ohlone Indians. The city of Santa Cruz purchased the majority of the land you see from the San Lorenzo Valley Water District. Part of this purchase agreement was that the San Lorenzo Valley Water District would maintain water rights to a small portion of the water in the reservoir. In the mid-1900s, the area that is now the reservoir was cleared of trees in preparation for the construction of the dam. The water that collects in this reservoir comes predominantly from rainfall on the surrounding land, as well as from Newell Creek at the upper end of the reservoir. During some years, water held back behind the inflatable Felton Diversion Dam is pumped up to the reservoir, but specific flow conditions in the San Lorenzo River must be met in order to do so. Nearly all of the surrounding land you will see on this tour is collectively called the Newell Creek Watershed. This reservoir is 2 miles long and 1/4 mile at the widest point. When the dam was built, it took 3 full years for the runoff from the hills and the flow from Newell Creek to fill the entire canyon with water. Since this was originally such a steep canyon, the lake is quite deep. At the deepest point near the dam, it's 150 feet deep. The average depth is about 100 feet. This 2-mile-long and 100-foot deep reservoir holds 2.8 billion gallons of stored water for use by the city of Santa Cruz. To put that in perspective, that is nearly 4 football stadiums completely filled to the rim with water. Most people would probably think that would last quite a long time for the city. Well, before the conservation measures were put into place a few years back during the drought, this stored water would supply the city for only 10.5 months if it were the only source of water used and if the entire capacity of the reservoir were actually available. During the drought, city residents did an amazing job conserving water. That 2.8 billion gallons would now last over a year, which amounts to about a 19% drop in consumption due to conservation measures. Another interesting fact about the reservoir is that water conditions from the surface to lake bottom change with the seasons. During the summer months, with longer days and less wind, the lake will develop distinct layers. The warmer, less dense water, with more available oxygen, will be at the surface. Lower layers will be cooler and have less oxygen. The reservoir remains stratified like this until fall. The longer nights, cooler temperatures, and stronger winds cause surface waters to cool and sink, breaking up the stratification. This is called the fall turnover. The result is that the water in the reservoir will become uniform in temperature and dissolved oxygen and remain that way until the water warms in the spring. Back in the late 1950s, the city was growing and was in need of a stable supply of stored water. They decided to build a dam to collect the waters of Newell Creek and create a reservoir. This dam was constructed about 58 years ago, from 1959 to 1962. The Newell Creek Dam is an earthen dam measuring 750 feet long and 195 feet high. They use compacted earth instead of concrete because of the frequency of earthquakes in California. The earth will settle during an earthquake rather than have the potential for cracking or breaking if it were concrete. Another safety feature of our dam is the spillway you can see to the left. When the level of the lake rises to capacity, which right now is about another 2 feet, that extra water can exit over the spillway and safely flow into Newell Creek below the dam. Also during dam construction, the city installed a water release pipe that flows 24/7, 365 days a year. This pipe releases 465 gallons per minute, which maintains a flow in Newell Creek below the dam that ensures continued protection of fish, plants, and wildlife. The dam has a vertical inlet-outlet pipe just below the green blockhouse, which delivers water to the Graham Hill Water Treatment Plant, where it is processed and filtered. Clean, safe drinking water is then sent to the homes and businesses in Santa Cruz. Also on the dam crest is an air compressor in the container beside the blockhouse. This pushes air through the hoses you see on the water surface to two very large 40-foot tall aerators deep in the water. These aerators push oxygen out into the water, which assists with decreasing odor and heavy metal problems before the water is sent to the water treatment plant. There are exit hoses from the aerators which shoot out the extra air not used in the aeration process. These aerators, the compressor, pipes, and other infrastructure are competently monitored and maintained by City of Santa Cruz water production staff. As rangers here, Brian and I often assist the City of Santa Cruz water quality lab staff with their sampling and monitoring procedures on the reservoir. Lab technicians visit 1 to 2 times a week and take samples and collect information at several locations on the reservoir. They check the quality of the water at different depths, checking the temperature, pH, turbidity, and dissolved oxygen to determine which depths are the best to pull water from and send to the water treatment plant. The entire lab and water recreation team watch closely for algae problems as well, in order to keep the water quality the best it can be for use as drinking water for Santa Cruz.
As we were speaking earlier, we have many opportunities for recreation here at Loch Lomond. Some of our most popular are rental boats that you see here. We have pedal boats, kayaks, rowboats, and electric assisted boats. In addition, we also have a park store, which you can get information about the park maps and brochures, as well as bait for fishing and snacks for hitting the trail. Another very popular picnic spot is here at Cunningham Cove. It's a great place to spend the day and fish. There's lots of bluegill that you can fish for off the pier here, the little dock. But please remember, here at Loch Lomond, because this is a drinking reservoir, we do not allow any body contact or swimming in the reservoir. One of the unique features here at Loch Lomond Reservoir is our Clarinus Island. It offers picnicking and barbecuing, and around the island there's fantastic opportunities for fishing. Largemouth bass, bluegill, and stocked rainbow trout. Here you can see a portion of our approximately 8 miles of trail that winds its way through the park. Along the trail we have predominantly redwoods, madrones, coast live oak, and tan oaks, as well as Douglas firs. Redwoods, of course, are some of the tallest trees in the world, and definitely our tallest tree here in Loch Lomond. Here's another popular picnic area. It's called McGregor Picnic Area.
About halfway up the reservoir is this more secluded area where visitors might spend time picnicking, fishing, or watching wildlife. It is informally called the Kakachi Picnic Area and includes a memorial bench, which is a great place to quietly observe nature and wildlife. It is also a good vantage point to see over half of the reservoir. A very special aspect of this reservoir is the peacefulness and tranquility you can experience here. This is a place where you can get away from the hustle and bustle of life and see the sights and listen to the sounds of nature. As you look around, you won't see houses, telephone lines, or roads. You will see a beautiful mixed conifer forest and an inviting expanse of water to enjoy. You will hear the insects chirping, the birds singing, and the wind in the trees. There are quiet coves to explore and places to lose yourself in solitude and relaxation. The entire west side of the watershed surrounding the reservoir is off limits to visitors here. We want to keep this area untouched and pristine so the water remains clean and unpolluted. Notice when you look at the land, you don't see power lines, houses, paved roads, or signs of people. This is what we want on the land surrounding our drinking water reservoir. As rangers, we patrol these off-limit areas to make sure that no one is trespassing or doing anything that might start a fire or harm the environment. We pull invasive plants so that the fire roads are not overgrown, and we clear trees that block the roads. Park staff completed a large project a few years ago, clearly labeling all fire roads, gates, fire breaks, and water draft roads to ensure that fire personnel are able to navigate our watersheds should there be a wildfire. We also host fire tours with local agencies which allow their crews to go on a tour of our watersheds so roads are familiar to them. Another way we monitor the watersheds to see what's happening when we aren't out patrolling is with a network of trail cameras. Occasionally we discover that there has been motorcycle trespass or firewood poaching. It's valuable to know this information so we might repair any damage to gates or the environment as soon as possible. In addition to human trespassers, we see an abundance of wildlife on our cameras. We have photos of wild boars, turkeys, bobcats, foxes, possums, skunks, and my favorites, the mountain lions. We have many mountain lions on our watershed properties. There was one 30-day period where I saw photos of 6 distinctly different lions. We also have cubs show up every year on camera. This past year, we even had photos of a mother with 3 cubs. These cameras do an excellent job of assisting us in monitoring these large watershed properties when we can't be out there due to other work obligations. Wildlife watching is very popular at the reservoir. There are an abundance of birds and other animals to experience here. On the reservoir and along the shore, you may see great blue herons, cormorants, egrets, green herons, mergansers, buffleheads, and pied-bill grebes, amongst many others. If you are quiet and observant, you may even see our small population of resident western pond turtles. They are considered a species of special concern, so their activities and locations are often noted by staff.
Here's one of our popular picnic areas at the very north end of the lake. This is Deer Flat Picnic Area. It's a great place to go for seclusion and just to escape from the more popular areas in the lake. There's also fantastic fishing at the north side of the lake. In the tules, there's lots of bluegill that like to hide. And also, this is where the Newell Creek inlet is. This is where the main feeding of the water reservoir comes in.
The City of Santa Cruz Water Resource Management Team collects stream flow, water quality, and other measurements of Newell Creek both entering and exiting the reservoir on a regular basis. As rangers here, we often assist with these activities as well as monitoring and maintaining the trails surrounding this collection site.
These plants here growing in the water are called smartweed. They're slowly taking over many parts of the lake, including this northern section. They are a native species, but they sure do take over a lot of the space in the water, also making great habitat for fish. Some of the animals that call Loch Lomond home are not native to the area, and they're considered invasive species. These animals compete with other animals for food and for other resources at the lake. These species are bullfrog, swamp crayfish, red-eared slider turtles, and Canada geese. Canada geese have been longtime visitors to Loch Lomond. A few years back, you could only count maybe two to four individuals. They had their first successful hatching, and now 3 years later we count as many as 27 individuals. The problem with Canada geese is they have an impact on water quality. They have a lot of waste they produce. So this can create high nutrients in the water and potentially cause algae blooms. Here's a better shot of the Newell Creek inlet that feeds Loch Lomond. There also tends to be a lot of wildlife that likes to be back in there.
If you listen closely, you may even hear the red-winged blackbird.
Many animals enjoy spending time in these tules here, like a red-winged blackbird. The tules can be easily mistaken for being cattails. And these are our cattails. Also very good wildlife habitat.
In the skies over this reservoir, you might catch sight of kingfishers, hawks, and maybe even a bald eagle. We've had a nesting pair of osprey for over a decade here at the reservoir. They are also considered a species of special concern, so we are happy that they have thrived and produced fledglings every year. As you recreate here on the reservoir and at the park, you may see black-tailed deer, raccoons, wild turkeys, or even an occasional bobcat. The forests are alive with many other birds, reptiles, and mammals to watch and enjoy.
Thanks for joining us on our virtual tour of Loch Lomond Reservoir.
We hope you enjoyed yourself, and we'd love to have you come visit when we open the park again.
See you soon.